One. What's up? What's up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. First college football show that I'm able to get Drew Martin on here with us, man. I'm excited. Drew is my guy, man. Every time I meet up with him, we have a few drinks, we talk. He asks me about some of my NBA angles and stuff. But this is one of the coolest guys over there at Wager Talk. Love my guy, Drew, man. What's up with you, Drew? How you been doing, my brother?
Jay, money is money. It's a pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me on. I've been a fan of yours, man, and yeah, I appreciate all the conversations we've had. I remember you brought up a couple NBA angles because that's not really a sport that I like dig deep and think I have an advantage on. You brought up a couple of them where I'm like, you know what? I think that's pretty good. Maybe I need to jump on that. So hey, I respect your opinion on the NBA and sports betting, man. And I got something for you for being on your show. One thing that I do notice, it looks pretty cool. The background, the sunglasses. So for Jay, money is money. Let's rock, bro.
My guy, man. My guy, Jay. Yeah, you down there in Florida as well, man. So I know you got those sunglasses rolling. I like the look, man. Man, Drew, you're one of the coolest guys I know over there at Wager Talk, but cool guy regardless, man. Wager Talk or not. But let's get into business here, guys. Let's talk about some games here. This first game up, we'll talk about South Carolina here facing up against Charlotte, right, Drew? Charlotte's coming off of a big win over there for Georgia State. We know that they're not very good, right? But they are getting 23 points versus the Gamecocks over there. Got Spencer Rattler and the guys. How are you looking at this game? Can South Carolina finally look good versus a weak opponent?
You know what? I think they will. Yeah, I think they'll be able to kind of dominate this matchup. But the real reason I'm going after this is because, look, we get Charlotte here, the 49ers, make it a step up in class, which their quarterback, Reynolds, he's a 4-year starter. He's really good, actually. And I actually went to week 1. They played FAU. They were moving the ball, went right down and scored. He gets injured. Backup comes in. You can just tell the timing isn't there. They actually bring in the third string for a little bit. The offense really goes blank, Jay Money. And since Reynolds has come back, guess what? They went up against Georgia State, the Panthers, who are supposed to be pretty good in the Sun Belt. We'll see if that's the case. But you can tell they've been recruiting very well. They got a pretty good offense. Defense, we'll see. But what did they do? They went for over 40 points. They were going up and down. I watched every play of that Charlotte-Georgia State game, and the 49ers offense changes when Reynolds is the quarterback. And as sports bettors, I know you know this, something where I've had success is find change and go from that point forward, because the odds makers don't have the data to really keep up with that. And so when you look at Charlotte's offensive numbers for the season, they're not going to be that great. But with Reynolds in at quarterback, the most important position in football, they're going to be able to score, in my opinion. They're at least going to run a faster tempo offense, throwing the ball down the field. So if they're able to score 2, 3, maybe even 4 touchdowns against this Gamecock defense, we know the Gamecocks are going to be able to move the ball against Charlotte. They're going to go up and down too. Beamer, the young Beamer that is, with the head coaching position there, and Rattler, the highly recruited quarterback, they can throw the ball down the field. They're going to light it up. So looking at this total here in the 60s, up and over for the Gamecocks and the 49ers.
Yeah, that's a good point there, man. And maybe that so South Carolina probably is good for a good 40 points in this one, man. They probably try to fight versus a weak opponent, weak defense. They're actually probably going to try to shake some of their rust off and bust off offensively here. So I like the points here, because obviously you're going to need Charlotte to help you out as well. But that's I call that inside info there, Drew, because a lot of people I've been talking to, Charlotte, they're still down to their third string quarterback. So if they have their quarterback back, that's a lot different, especially when there's a huge drop off between the first and the second quarterback as well, Drew. So I like the way you're looking to, guys, in the chat, man. Hey, pay attention. Well, guy Drew knows his college sports, man, college football and college basketball. Drew is the man over there. So I was interested. I thought that you might be looking towards South Carolina laying the points there, but taking the over, basically just both teams score. But would you possibly think of taking the 23 with Charlotte here?
You know what, Jay? Sides wise, I maybe just because I think that back door could be open, because they're going to be throwing the ball. You know, Will Hilly, when he's got his quarterback. So that's the one thing I worry about laying big numbers against offenses that can move the ball. If they're still trying to score in the fourth quarter, you know, if let's just say the score is 50-20 And if you're riding the Gamecocks, you're looking pretty. Oh, here we go with the backups in on defense. We've all been there. A lot of people, Jay, call that a bad beat. I like to say, hey, that needs to be part of your handicap. A backdoor cover and a bad beat aren't exactly the same thing. You can handicap for that, and that's in my handicap here. I think Charlotte has the ability to come through the back door. That's why I'm not going to lay the big number with South Carolina.
That's a really good point, Drew. I always look at it as well. In football, when they know that they've won the game for sure, the defensive drives, like the last defensive drive, they don't even care if they're giving up a touchdown. You see soft coverage. You see these guys, and Charlotte will probably really be going for it to make the game look as respectable as possible. That's a really good look there, Drew. And I agree with you. It's not really a bad beat because you know that they don't care on that last drive. So you're basically hoping that the game is not close in that one. Let's go over here to your streets here, to the streets of Central Florida here, Drew. You got Central Florida laying 20.5 points here, 20.5 to 21 here versus Georgia Tech, who is basically dismal here. What would you say here? Do you think this is a smack city spot by Central Florida in this game?
I really do, Jay. I worry about this Georgia Tech program, man. And I lived in Atlanta for 8 years. Great city, good restaurants, wonderful people, fun place to be. A good jump off point as well. There's a lot of colleges right around Atlanta. The airport's big. You can go anywhere you want. A lot of advantages. I don't know why they're not better at football. I really don't, because there's good high school football there in Georgia. It's a beautiful campus. The problem is they're just not good, Jay. I think Jeff Collins, their head coach, he's on his way out. I think, quote unquote, quit in college football, really in all sports, more so on the college end. But hey, you know it in the NBA, when a team quits, sometimes that can be a better moneymaker than actually finding the teams that are really good, because everybody knows when a team's really good. Oh, Georgia's good, Alabama's good. Well, you got to pay a premium to bet on them. It's not as much of a premium to bet against some squads. And I think Georgia Tech fits that profile. They've been getting blown out. They really haven't looked all that great. And up against UCF, where the Knights, particularly at home, when they have the athletic advantage, which they are fast, they got their quarterback coming over from Ole Miss. He used to play wide receiver. Now he's at the quarterback position. And with Gus Malzahn as the head coach, from watching a lot of Gus Malzahn offense at Auburn, what he excels at is having a dual threat quarterback. And if he's able to run the football, that is when this type of offense really lights it up. I think they're going to be able to run the football at home. Another thing about Malzahn, when he gets the chance to kind of go pedal to the metal, he usually does. We've seen that a couple times already this year. So, hey, if UCF's up by a touchdown, up by 2 touchdowns in the third quarter, they're going to keep looking to go pedal to the metal. So not one of my bigger plays this weekend, but a play I did touch was laying the wood with the UCF Knights at home in the bounce house.
Yeah, we call those style points as well, man. When you're a coach, you're trying to keep your job and all this good stuff. You want as big as wins as possible. We have somewhat of a weak opponent here, Drew. So that's a nice look here. The line did open up at 18.5. It's been pushed up to 20.5/21. So money coming in on UCF. We know there's probably not a lot of money coming in on Georgia Tech in this game as well. So sounds like it's pretty simple in this one. It's either you're taking Central Florida or you're staying off the game. This is also Georgia Tech's first road game as well after playing 2 home games. They couldn't even cover versus Western Carolina over there. So lost 42-0 versus Ole Miss. Looks like the team is down in the dumps, my guys. And we, bettors wise, we like to kick those teams and while they're down. Central Florida has a potent offense, quick strike offense as well, Drew. This one could get ugly. We might see them covering this spread by halftime. I've definitely seen it before, and maybe the heat can really start to bother those Georgia Tech players as well in the second half. I could see a smack city spot there. I really could. Let's go over here to another game, Drew. We got the Florida State Seminoles laying 17.5 points versus Boston College here, Drew. Simply put, is Florida State good enough to be laying this big of a number? I know that they're a lot better this year, but are we ready to lay like close to 3 touchdowns with Florida State now?
I think we are, in terms of, if you need a side to bet, I would point people towards the Noles at home. I mean, they're starting to get a little bit of momentum here, but I don't know that I'm ready to lay a huge number with the Noles. I really don't. Jay, money is money. I would rather go after this because they have some quarterback questions as well. You know, Travis, he's a little bit banged up. The backup came in. I thought he threw the ball pretty well, but he's only, you know, in his freshman year. He might be a redshirt freshman. Not sure if I'm looking to lay, 17.5 here with Florida State. But doing the math, and the team totals aren't out yet, at least at the books that I bet at, looking at the Wager Talk odds screen. We got 48.5 being the total and minus 17.5. So you can kind of almost do the math and what the team total will be for Boston College. And I'm looking to go under. Now, it will be lower than 17, but if we do get a 17 at Boston College, I'd pound that towards the under. Likely 16.5, just going by, 14.5, Florida State minus 17.5. What does that project us at? Like 34 to 16, something of that nature. If we do get like a 16.5 here, I'd go under. This BC team, look, they lost 4 offensive linemen from last year's squad. Now their quarterback's pretty good, but the only returning offensive lineman, he's now injured. So everybody up front is out of there. And when you watch them play on offense, they can't really move the ball at all. And Florida State's defense has showed very well. Remember that LSU game? You got to remember they scored all those points right at the end. I don't think Boston College has that ability to really score a bunch and move the ball all game long on this Florida State defense. So I actually like the under overall. I do like Florida State, but even more so, I'm looking to fade Boston College. And the way I'm going to look to do that on Saturday is their team total towards the under. So I hate coming on here and like giving you a bet that doesn't have a number out, but when it's out tomorrow, probably in the 16.5 range, I'd bet it towards the under on BC.
Yeah, this show is all about looks, man. We're giving out info, you know what I'm saying? Giving out picks. Hey, if the people want to take it, it's all about information, guys. I always say, especially like even when I'm giving out plays, even in the NBA where I'm an expert, I always tell people, you don't have to take this. You know what I'm saying? There's people that go with your gut feeling. Some people, sometimes Drew come in the chat, I'm on the other side. That's cool, guys. We're all trying to cash, you know what I'm saying? So if you're on something, hey, best of luck. Well, if you're on the other side, I can't say best of luck, but it's it's all good. But Drew, I want to ask you, do you have any inside info on Jordan Travis? Because if he doesn't play, I feel obviously the line will move either way, but if he doesn't play, I'm not laying 17.5 with Florida State, not with the backup.
You know what? One of my best friends growing up, he's kind of like I don't know how to say this. Like he likes to tell people like a lot of things, and he went to Florida State. He's always like, oh, I'm the biggest booster at FSU under the age of 40 in South Florida. I'm like, that's such a cocky thing to say, I'm like, why would you say that? And one thing I do though is I text them all the time. I'm like, what do you got? I don't know right now, Jay. But I'll make sure to text him. I would think that he does play, but I guess we'll have to wait and see, man.
That's a good. That injury looked pretty bad. I must say, it didn't even seem like he could put pressure or could basically walk after that. So I hope he's all right. Just for this game, I hope he doesn't play. I actually like Boston College here, Drew. Dave basically told me the same thing, that Boston College offense is terrible here, but maybe could possibly be a little look ahead spot. They know that Boston College isn't good. They beat them the last 3 years. And now they have Wake Forest on deck next week. So maybe this is what I'm hoping for, Drew. And you could still cash your team total under with Boston College, but maybe the backup comes in and doesn't look so sharp. Florida State get the win by 7 points. It's a win-win for everybody. I get to cash the Boston College plus 17.5. The team total goes under, and Florida State gets the win, which that's all they really care about. Not needs to blow everybody out by 24 or 30 points. They just want to win this game by 7 to 10 points. So maybe we get a 24-10 here type of game. I'd be cool with that, man. An ugly type of game, but I got a heavy lean to Boston College plus the 17.5. Situationally, I think it does set up for a team that's been so lackluster. Let's go over here to the streets of Michigan State here, Drew. We got the Spartans coming off a terrible game versus the Washington Huskies. Now they're back home looking for a bounce back. Minnesota has looked pretty good this year, though, Drew. They've been balling over there. Do you think that they give Michigan State 2 straight losses here, or how are we looking at this game?
You know what, Jay? This one's moving right now, actually. Minnesota 2.5 at
emergency betting alert.
Oh man, I don't know about that. Yeah, but actually, hey, cue it up.
Yeah, no, I don't have the cue, but it was just I like watching the show with you and Teddy, so I was just making some fun right there with emergency betting alert. But well, how you look at this game, my brother?
Alert, alert, emergency, betting, alert. We got Minnesota, Michigan State coming to you from East Lansing, 3:30 on Eastern. It's -3 across the board. That's the Gophers. 2.5 is popping up at DraftKings and Heritage. Looking at the Wager Talk odds screen, guys, I would grab these 2.5s. I really would, Jay. I like what the Gophers are doing. I mean, they return their quarterback. Their running back's really good. If you watch their offensive line, they push defensive linemen back. I don't know if it's just big people in Minnesota, what they're doing. They're recruiting really well up there. PJ Fleck, really cool guy. You know, the row the boat. I'm all about it. Funny story, side note, I actually ran into him in Las Vegas going to a hockey game. I'm serious. He was walking there. I'm like, PJ Fleck, like row the boat. Awesome. He was nice, but that's just, not why I'm betting him here. The real reason
down to
is
earth,
Michigan.
Drew? Is he real down to earth?
It was so quick. It was like 20 seconds, but he did give me a row the boat. He's like, yeah, row the boat, man.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, all good, bro. We get Michigan State coming back from the West Coast. I don't know. I think that trip, they did not look well against Washington. Now, granted, they could pop back here. I think the Spartans long term might be a buy on, but this matchup, I actually just think Minnesota wins in the trenches. I really do. I like their quarterback a little bit more as well. That kid Payne for Michigan State, when he doesn't have the solid running game like they had last year with Kenneth Walker III, I don't think he's the same quarterback. I really don't. We've seen some other quarterbacks kind of take a step back. I think we're seeing that right now with Michigan State. So overall, I think -2 in the hook here, available both DraftKings and offshore, might be worth a look here, guys. I like the Gophers -2 in the hook.
Yeah, that's a good point there. It's a good point. Definitely some 2.5. Still some threes out there, but definitely 2.5s, guys. I always say line shop. Make sure you're getting the best line. If you're betting this game and you're laying the points with Minnesota, you want to get that 2.5, guys, under the key number. If you're taking Michigan State as the home dog, obviously you'd like to get that 3. So always preach it. Wager Talk odds screen. If you like to look at tickets and money percentage, they have that up there as well. But this mainly for comparing odds. Definitely looking at the discrepancies from the sharp books and the square books as well. But you can literally compare odds from 9 different books at one time, my guys, and see the openers. You can even click on it and see when they moved as well, if I'm not mistaken, man. So the line history. You can definitely look at the line history. I love that Wager Talk eye screen, Drew. I love when they introduce it as well. Like how you're looking at this game as well. I don't have a good feel on it, though. Let's go over here to the streets of Tennessee here. We have the Vols laying 11 points, laying double digits. Oh, is Tennessee back? Florida is coming off a game where they didn't necessarily look so good, Drew. I had South Florida plus 24.5 in my pocket. I loved the whole game. There was a wire-to-wire cover over there, man. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge backer in Richardson as far as throwing the ball. Obviously, he's a good dual threat quarterback, but I'm not sold on him being an actual quarterback that you need to be pushing the ball down the field. That's just me personally, Drew. What do you think? I know you don't want us to call him AR-15, but that's the media. I can call him whatever I want. What do you think about AR-15, Drew, and Florida plus the 11 here?
Well, AR-15 here, Richardson, I think it's a great kind of study in athletes, young athletes overall, Jay. And look, he's, obviously a good athlete, big, strong, fast. We'll see how he turns out as a quarterback in terms of decision making. I think that's still to be determined, like really what his ceiling is. But I'll say this, it's just kind of, human nature. What happened? He went out there Saturday night in the swamp against a top 10 Utah team and performed very well. The MVP of week 1 in college football, running the football, throwing the football against a really good coached Utah team. Likely, a lot of people had him as a chance to win the Pac-12, likely still could. And what probably happened that next week? Oh, Anthony Richardson, you're the greatest guy in the world. You're the best quarterback. Oh man, we're going to win the national championship. And sure enough, he listened to it. I played quarterback in high school. There was times I did that as well. I get not to the level he did, unfortunately, but likely what happened to him. And sure enough, what happened, bam, he kind of hit the floor, probably didn't do, step 1, step 2, disciplined work, preparing for Kentucky, even USF. I don't 100% know that happened, but if I had to guess here and where I'm putting my money, that likely did happen, guys. Well, now that was along water under the bridge, that Utah game. I'm sure he's not getting patted on the back walking around campus anymore. Now they got to regroup, go on the road to Tennessee. Look, Florida has a really good defense. I don't think they need Anthony Richardson to be the best player in college football, Heisman Trophy. I just think they need him not to turn the ball over, make some plays with your feet, hit the passes when they're open here, because I don't think Tennessee's going to be able to run it up like they have been so far this season, Jay. And the reason being, Josh Heupel's offense, we saw it at UCF. We're seeing it at Tennessee. When they have the competitive advantage, meaning their athletes are a lot better than their opposition, they can run it up. It is a lighted up type of offense. However, when it's not, and their opponent's defensive line is in the backfield and that RPO isn't really working, and Hooker has to make decisions, oh no, what's going on? It does not light it up. And I think that's going to happen. I think this Gator defense is a lot stronger than people are giving it credit for. So to put 10.5, you can even shop around, looking at the Wager Talk odds screen, plus 11 is out there. I'm telling you, Jay, top to bottom of the roster, there is not that much difference between this Florida roster and this Tennessee roster. And if we can put 11 points, 10.5 in our pocket, sprinkle some on the money line, Florida has owned Tennessee in this series. Game day is going to be there. People might say, hey, Tennessee's going to be up for it. But guess what? So is Florida. This is not a look-ahead spot for either team. I'm going to put the points in our pocket. I don't think Tennessee wins by doubles, Jay. I really don't. I'd bet Florida plus the points.
Yeah, no, it's a good point there. That was the only thing I was going to ask you. Play like Teddy there. Does it worry you that that Florida has basically owned Tennessee? Now Tennessee's starting to look a little better here. I feel like year by year Tennessee's starting to get a little bit better. Florida has beaten them 5 straight times and 9 out of the last 10. But I mean, to your credit as well, maybe they could just own them. Sometimes a team just has you figured out. Now the Florida Gators obviously have the brand new coach over there. But so how do you feel about that? How do you think that the new coach will fare in this situation, especially on the road as well?
I think he's going to fare well. I think the future for the Florida Gators is very bright. One, they got new facilities coming in, because you kind of I don't know if you remember back in the late 90s, 2000s, Urban Meyer was there, Tim Tebow. Like, Florida was winning national championships, getting recruits, and then it kind of what happened there? Well, Alabama, Georgia, Auburn, whatever the case may be, they kind of made better, facilities and recruiting wise. So everybody kind of went there. Well, now Florida's investing in that. They get Billy Napier as well. I listened to him speak when he was down in Broward County. I think the guy's got it going on. He's got that little country twang. He's a Nick Saban disciple in terms of discipline. Where we're focusing on the defense. He even spoke about Anthony Richardson. I watched the press conference, and one of the things he's big on, and I was a big fan of this, is they sit down, on Wednesday night, and they go over the game plan, and they go, hey, Anthony, what are you comfortable with? What are you not? Because what you're not comfortable with, we're going to throw out of the game plan. And I think that's big with a young quarterback. Don't put him in positions where he's going up to the line going, hey, wait, what's this guy doing? Can I make that throw? You want confidence in your quarterback. He was preaching that. I'm a big fan of Billy Napier. What he was able to do at Louisiana Lafayette. I love the Sun Belt Conference. They were a money-making machine in the Sun Belt, man. That Raging Cajun team for the last 4 or 5 years was a great team to bet on. I think as long as he gets in here, gets his guys, I think the Gators have a bright future over the next couple of years, Jay Money.
Yeah, that's a good point there, man. I appreciate my guy in the chat as well. He's saying maybe like in the under here, that definitely goes with the better defense as well. I definitely see this as defense versus offense. We know Tennessee trying to run the hurry up more this year. The offense has looked good, but now they're going up against a top tier defense. You make a good point there, Drew. I like the coaching standpoint, because now you have the quarterback locked in. Now he's saying, okay, well, they're interested in what I want to do. They're not interested in what I don't want to do. So they're all on the same page. That's a nice look there. Everything I'm hearing about Napier is good as well. What you got?
Yeah. No, last point though, in terms of Heupel's offense and running it up, look at their schedule. They really haven't played that many good teams, I guess, with Pitt.
Mhm.
But the where they really got their yards was against the MAC opponents. Like, I don't like factoring that in when your opponent is so much different. All those yards, the analytics in college football, it's actually one way to make money going against it. So
Yeah.
that's why I think this Florida defensive line, the push that they'll get, will really cause problems for the Vols.
Exactly. Yeah, especially early season as well. Those numbers definitely can be very skewed as well. When you beat up Akron 63-6 and do whatever the hell you want, those numbers are skewed, my guys. It's simply put. So that's a good look there, Drew, as well. Also, appreciate everybody in chat. Let's go here. Last game up, man. We got California here. First is up against Arizona. California they did a good job hanging in there versus Notre Dame. Now they come back home, laying 3.5 versus a very improved Arizona team, Drew. They look light years better than they did last year. How you looking at this game, my brother?
How about it, man? Arizona, the Wildcats coming out of nowhere there in Tucson, and I'm buying on them. I really am. Deloria, the quarterback, talk about dual threat guys. Hooker for Tennessee, good. I think Deloria is running under the radar. He was Pac-12 freshman of the year. He makes the transfer from Washington State to Arizona. It was kind of eye-opening, like, what's going on here? Well, it's working out for him. They went into San Diego State, won that game. Now they had a tough time against Mississippi State, but let's face it, Cal's defense is not Mississippi State's defense.
Right.
They don't have those same, Jimmys and Joes up front on that defensive line. So to give Deloria kind of time to run around, make plays with his feet, I think that's a good look here on Arizona. Now, not one of my bigger plays here, Jay Money, but this Cal team, look, they've been underperforming for years now. I feel like the market is still giving them a little bit of I don't know what it is, man. I don't think it's pricing them correctly is what it comes down to. So I think we get the better quarterback, points in our pocket. I'll take Arizona.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually bet Arizona too, Drew. So I'm definitely right there with you. That 3 in the hook. I can see them. I see them winning this game. Like maybe this should be closer to a pick 'em if you ask me. And it could be, Drew. Also, they're always gonna grade Cal's defense. They always have a good defense, but it could be Arizona continue to be undervalued as well. I believe they were the underdog in that San Diego State game as well. And it's like now we know that they're just being mispriced. So we talk about this all the time, especially in NBA when a team is being mispriced early in the season and the odds makers hadn't necessarily caught up with that. So yeah, they were 6-point underdogs versus San Diego State, won that game in San Diego State 38-20, absolutely smoked them there. And yeah, even you putting up 17 versus Mississippi State is good, right? 17-39, it's not terrible versus them. So maybe they beat a really good North Dakota State team as well, probably the best FCS team, right? They beat them. Now they did have to kind of come back, but still they were home underdogs in that game and end up winning. So Arizona is showing something. Seem to be improving every year as well. Cal looking with have Washington State on deck. So I like Arizona plus the 3.5 here, Drew. That's what I'm liking, man. What do you guys?
Jay,
huh?
You bring up the North Dakota State. I don't think a lot of people realize, like, FCS. Some people just be like, "Oh, FCS, it is what it is. Like, don't count it." There is a wide gap between FCS teams. It's almost like Alabama and Akron. Is that the same thing? No, it's not in college football Division I. It can be the same thing in FCS. Like North Dakota State, they're not the 132nd best team in college football. They're probably like the 30th, or 45th, something in that nature. And so to get a win like that, it's actually a good win, not a bad win, beating that FCS program in North Dakota State.
No, that's facts right there. And like I say, they were the underdog there. So they had there was, in theory, there was an upset. They beat them straight up, man. I like what Arizona's doing over there. Now, Drew, I want to ask you one more game here. There wasn't up. I know you say you look real close into the Sun Belt. You got App State coming off a couple of huge wins here. Now, one really big win where they won that one on the Hail Mary. They're facing up against an old FCS team, James Madison. What do you think about App State just in general here? I think this could be a spot where James Madison is a live dog.
So do I. I mean, James Madison, first of all, we're talking about FCS teams. I mean, I don't think people, and it's almost, factual, at least through the first 3 weeks of the season. Guess what? They've been money makers now in their new Division I schedule. They're outplaying what the market is pricing them at. And I still don't think it's pricing them here. We can get a touchdown with JMU. Up against App State. Now, App State, very good team overall. I love, Boone, North Carolina, highest home elevation east of the Mississippi, good program, good coaching. The fact is, look at their last 3 weeks. I mean, beating Texas A&M, they had college game day, hitting that Hail Mary. It's just back to back to back. Can they get up again? Maybe they can. However, at some point, there usually is a letdown spot. I'm not saying this is letdown, full letdown, but the fact that they are performing the way that they are, and JMU coming in maybe a little bit under the radar, an old FCS team, they play really good football. Talk about North Dakota State. I mean, we remember the North Dakota State JMU for the chance. Right. It's kind of that level of football. I don't know. I just think it's sharp, man. Put those points in our pocket with JMU.
Man, I remember the first game of the season. They were facing Middle Tennessee. I saw a lot of sharps like hopping on from down to 6.5 to 4.5. They smoked Middle Tennessee 44-7 there. Now, obviously, they hadn't played two tougher teams. This will be the toughest team, but could possibly be their coming out party. This is what I don't like about App State. The fact they just come off that huge win versus Troy, which they deserved to lose because there was kind of a letdown, and then they even won the letdown. So I guess in theory, you could say that maybe App State is – but they were laying 14 points in that game and were losing and had to win on the Hail Mary. So you come off the big win versus Texas A&M. Then Troy, and like you said, they had college game day, Drew, as well. I'm pretty sure that they rushed the field after that win. Yeah. You talked about it, walking around campus all week. I feel like they may be a little bit high on themselves. You know what I'm saying? And this is a bad spot for them, in my opinion. It's JMU or nothing for me. And it's come down from 9.5 to 7. Might touch 6.5, in my opinion. Might touch 6.5. Yeah, I'd lean JMU. I would be surprised if they won the game outright, Drew. But hey, that's the show, my guys. That's the show, man. We talk about some free plays here, Drew. If you guys know, this guy is one of the many college football cappers over there at Wage Talk. A lot of great guys. We had Dave Koken on the show earlier. Drew Martin knows his college as well, guys. I'm sure you can tell just by the way he's talking. Also played football as well, quarterback, so he knows how to look at the game. Really good college basketball capper as well, Drew. Let the people know what you got going over there at Wage Talk.
Yeah, man, college basketball right around the corner. Get me hyped up there. Can't wait for that, man. But yeah, college football going well, off to a profitable start here. And wagertalk.com. My name's Drew Martin. So the experts page is, Drew Martin, wagertalk.com. And the coupon code for the show would be FB200. J Money, it takes $200 off the rest of the season. So FB as in football, FB200 would be that for $200 off.
$200 off, man, the package for the rest of college football. Y'all go check out Drew Martin. Drew, any play that you'd like to give us, one best bet for the show for Saturday's game, or it could be Friday's game, whatever you're looking, my guy, whatever you like to give us, any free plays.
Man, I think I mean, all the ones we talked about I liked, but going from your reaction, Jay Money, why don't we run with that? And the Gators plus 10.5, shop around for the 11. Anthony Richardson getting patted on the back after that showing against Utah, and then dropping the ball a little bit against Kentucky USF. I think he rebounds here. They go up on the road. A lot of the public, like in Tennessee, running it up on MAC teams. They seem to be kind of a trendy bet. I think the Gators with that defensive line push causes problems for Heupel's offense in Hooker's face a little bit. Hey, they don't have to win the game. They just don't have to get blown out by more than doubles. I think it's a lower scoring game than a lot of people realize. A raucous atmosphere, going to be a lot of fun. Game day going to be there. Let's call it, 27-21, something of that nature. Hey, the Gators stay within the number. Bet them plus 10.5.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off. I'm going with a dog as well, man. Give me Kansas State plus the 13, coming off a loss. Not too bad of a loss. I mean, Tulane isn't bad, but they are coming off a loss. We're probably looking ahead to this game. In theory, I did have the spot circle before the season even started when I'm going through my Big 12 team. So this is a fade spot for me on Oklahoma. I'm actually glad they blew out Nebraska so bad last week, and I'm glad that Kansas State lost. I'm getting pissed off versus a little bit of complacency. Give me Kansas State plus the 13. I think it's worth the sprinkle on the money line as well. I think they win this game straight up. 5 super seniors returning, a ton of returning production. I had the spot circle, guys, so I have to play it. Kansas State plus the 13. I think they keep this one within a touchdown at at the absolute worst. But Kent State plus the 13, my guys. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. I appreciate Drew's time as well for coming on doing the show with me. A couple of really busy guys, but hey, we made it happen. Let's win as well, man. We trying to get some cash, just like the background said. Let's get some cash. It's us against the bookies. Let's take them to Smack City, my guys. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Appreciate your time, and let's win. We're out. Till next time.